Boss Tweddell from Cultaholic Wrestling, joined by Fraser Poitier and Jack the Jobber. And we're going to ask the question, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, where does it go from here? Coming out of last night's Raw, emotions, overriding emotions from the segment, Fraser.
Yeah, it was. They've been on fire recently with all these little segments they've been doing. First, with Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes, and then it was Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, and then it was Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman. It's been really, really good, and this was another one that sort of fed off of that.
But how did it make you feel?
Torn because of what happened at the weekend. I was so sort of emotionally charged after that match and sort of disappointed at the outcome, but also I'm excited for the future because of Sami Zayn.
Why?
Well,
I'm going to keep pressing.
You're just going to keep pressing because they're on the precipice of someone who is got the backing of the entire audience, and it's someone that we never thought would get that push, and it's happening, and you can see it's very organic, and he feels very relatable because he's someone that you can see in the way he speaks and the way that the noise of the crowd overrides him, and he's sort of just standing there taking it all in. You kind of feel that you can relate to that sort of he's one of us. He's not got the typical look of a wrestler.
Everywhere I go, I get that sort of reaction.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Everyone's doing it. Yeah,
you deserve picking up that bottle of biscuits. Bottle of biscuits. Anyway, Jack, how did you feel?
A little bit more negative than Fraser, I will say, because even though I didn't expect him to beat Roman Reigns, I thought I was of the opinion that the best thing to do would have been the time for the solution had already passed, but to split the two belts and have Cody win the WWE Championship, and have Sami win the Universal one on different nights of Mania. But then you wouldn't have got Sami Zayn having his title match in his hometown.
No.
That sort of response that he got as well.
There's still a little part of me that wishes they did the old Eddie Guerrero No Way Out 2004 and just did it. But I can see why they didn't. It makes no business sense whatsoever. It would have just been a moment for the moment and not much after.
But then I saw an interesting... I can't remember who it was because all the takes were flying on Twitter after the match. And someone said, Zayn's just not that guy. He's just not at that level. And someone said, well, how do you get someone to that level? You have them win and you have good stories around them. I thought, yeah, that's true.
And this is a good story.
This is a good
it's
story.
It's one of the best that we've had in 10 years.
But now that we've seen how has the best passed us by, is it gonna taper off into WrestleMania? Because it's only the tag belts.
What do you mean it's only the tag belts?
It's only the tag belts.
Also unified and have been for almost a year.
Yeah.
There's
Last
a lot of
May,
prestige in that.
The prestigious ones. But the segment kicked off last night with Sami coming down to the ring. He once again basks in the glory of that Canadian reception. He lets the crowd do their cheers and you deserve a chance and whatnot. Because he said on an interview I saw over the weekend, if he was to go, just, shush and let me do my promo, that would be counterproductive, wouldn't it? Yeah, so you let them do that. And then I thought he made a wonderful step by saying he was guilty. He felt guilty for letting everybody down on Sunday, which I thought was a wonderful babyface step. Because he could have gone down the route of, I tried my best, but I didn't quite get it done. But he was like, bollocks, I feel guilty for letting you all down.
He did get screwed.
Yeah,
he did.
He got screwed.
I was going to say, especially on that, and the fact that last week he came out and was like, it's not just Roman Reigns versus me, it's Roman Reigns versus me and the entire city of Montreal.
Yes.
And the whole point is he's been building up to, he didn't believe in himself, and then he finally had that belief on SmackDown. And he felt guilty because he's let everyone down in his eyes, because he was like, I'm doing it for all of us. And it put that weight on his shoulders, and obviously it didn't go that way.
No, it didn't. But the next step was crucial because he invited Kevin Owens down to the ring. And this is where questions that were left sort of dangling on Sunday in many quarters. I was a bit overreactive on my WTF video, I've got to admit. I was asking the question, where were you, Kevin? This was Sami's night, and you were like, even though you were backstage, you didn't come down to help him. I thought the Rumble must have meant something to Kevin Owens, but clearly it did not. And as many people pointed out in the comments, Survivor Series is the reason why Kevin Owens didn't come down with Sami, because obviously... Sami aligned with the Bloodline, turned his back good and proper on Kevin. That's where Sami died in Kevin's eyes, and he just didn't forget that when Saturday came around.
To be fair to you, I didn't realise that until this promo we're talking about on Raw, when Kevin kind of laid it out and said, that's why. And I think we got collectively as a fan base, maybe we all got ahead of ourselves thinking that Kev was already aligned with Sami.
Because I was of the thought, like, the Rumble meant something. I know that Kevin took a beating, but Sami stopped a further beating.
Stopped a further after the beating had already been had.
He stopped death is what he did.
Yeah.
Just severe injury happened. Obviously kept Kevin Owens out from the Rumble until Elimination Chamber, but Sami crucially stopped death.
But then that's the same that Kevin gave to Sami at Elimination Chamber, so I guess it's fair.
We're fine now, aren't we? But I thought this was another wonderful step from Sami because he just kept the tears of Sami were in his eyes. With a tear in his eye, he said sorry to Kevin, which I think was hitting back to War Games and the turning of the back good and proper. And Kevin Owens just wasn't having any of it, and it all made sense.
It's what Kevin Owens would do. It's consistent with his long-term character as well. He's always been, even when he's a babyface, he's always been a bit miserable, hasn't he?
Yes.
That's a good,
Unless it's about his family, then he loves his family, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's a wholesome family boy.
I liked
Unless it's
how-
about Shania Twain as well,
Yeah.
that he loves famously.
I liked how...
No, he does. He
He
does really like
He was
I
on
like-
stage with her, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Once upon a time.
It was nice to see, as you said, the consistency with his character and how like passionate he was in front of his crowd about it. Like you can see that this whole thing with Sami has torn him up, and it's his best friend, and they've alluded to that many times in the story. And the fact that he's like, I didn't do it for you, I did it for my family, and that's, as you said, it's the consistency of character that makes this way more invested. Like I'm way more invested in this than I have been in a long time.
Yeah, because I didn't see that rationale coming. The fact that Kevin was like, I'm going to stop your family seeing what my family saw at the Rumble because I'm a lovely boy. That was a fantastic bit of rationale from Kevin Owens, I thought.
Yeah, it is. He is still also a babyface, so he's got to have some sense of justice. But I think they've done a really good job of this. I mean, I know I am slightly more negative than Fraser at the start when you asked how we were feeling, but that is something I've got to admit they've done really well, which is change Owens' character ever so slightly without compromising who he is.
Yeah, he still feels exactly like the
does.
same person that was trying to
does.
get Stone Cold out of retirement last year. But just we now like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
Maybe this is all down to Ezekiel.
Yeah.
He was the turning point.
Him going away has calmed Kevin Owens down. That's exactly what's
sorry.
happened.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
shooting on your bottle there. What's
I
wrong?
know, I'm so angry about Ezekiel.
But the bit which I didn't see coming at all was just Kevin Owens going, ask your buddy Jey.
Whoa.
Kevin Owens, right, is a Raw superstar who watches SmackDown.
And he
Yeah.
dishes out
Nobody else does that.
he dishes out some raw barbs as well.
right.
So
Bloody
go and
hell,
ask
did
your
he-
pal Jay. Do I detect a tinge of jealousy from Kevin
I
Owens
reckon
there?
you do. I reckon you detect a slobber of jealousy like you would on top of a pancake, Fraser.
Oh, what are you having on your pancakes?
If you want to check out at Cultaholic on Twitter, Fraser's
Yeah.
been putting together wrestlers as pancake
Pancakes.
toppings.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley liked her topping, which
She did.
was
It was banana and chocolate.
why?
Oh, what a topping. It's a classic. It's a powerhouse. You want more of it.
Exactly, just like Rhea Ripley.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, where the hell was I going with that? Yes,
Kevin
the-
Owens watches SmackDown, or he
Yes.
listens to the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast. We will never know.
I reckon it could be the latter, you know.
You think?
It could be the latter. Because
Yeah.
obviously, it was because the lazy way, I guess we could call it, would have been to go, Kevin Owens just goes, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's get back together and fight the Bloodline. But no, we're doing longer term storylines, aren't we, in this new fashion WWE? And he's just said, he's turned them down and said no. But I think the jaw was left slightly ajar. Because now Sami has to go and see Jey Uso. Then the result of that will be the result that factors in Kevin.
It won't be it'll be way more satisfying now when they actually do get back together. Because, like, if they just gone, cool, you lost the weekend and I saved you, cool, we're back together, we're best buds. That's a bit sort of crap.
Naff, yeah.
Yeah, it's just going, oh, right.
Missing
well,
a few chapters out, aren't they? to get to the
exactly.
final
Just
result.
skip 7.
And maybe this is where Triple H has taken something into account that possibly Vince McMahon wouldn't have done.
Not possibly.
That he definitely
He
wouldn't,
wouldn't
have
have,
done.
would he?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have got this far in the first place, would we? But what does it mean now for SmackDown? Obviously, it's all going to be about Jey Uso and what the hell Jey Uso is thinking at the moment after the Rumble, because the Elimination Chamber, because he once again for the second time had the chance to bloody hoof Roman Reigns in the back with a foreign object, but once again he bottled it.
The tease was so good, though.
It was
right.
nice.
It was just sitting there, and it's like, oh, that he's going to do it. He's chickened out, but then he didn't. Sami Zayn
He just didn't decide yet.
didn't decide.
Yeah.
And Sami Zayn has the most powerful spear on him.
What?
Like,
He was gone for the rest of the show.
he was disappeared. That was him done. Like, what?
His ego was bruised, and so was his
okay,
ribs.
yeah.
It was a double whammy.
Yeah, of course.
Now I have a question mainly for Ross, actually, because you did that video on this very channel about how it's all about Jey Uso. It was a kind of a recap of what's happened so far in the story of Jey. If Jey then because the rumor obviously is, or the direction many people think this is going is obviously the Usos versus Sami and Kevin for the tag belts at WrestleMania, which would possibly, not necessarily, but would possibly need Jey to fall back in line with at least Jimmy and kind of them to be on the same page. Would you be disappointed if Jey was to kind of undo what's been building?
No, I would not.
No.
Because it's a step after that. If he goes back with Jimmy, that's just Jey protecting his own record tag team
that
title.
makes sense.
Right,
Yeah.
That's him protecting the thing that's been so near and dear to the bloodline for many generations now, through the Wild Samoans there, Fraser, through the head shrinkers in the 90s, to the Usos in the current day. Even Rikishi held the tag team titles once upon a time when he was Rikishi and not a head shrinker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
I don't know.
When he had his arse out?
Yeah, probably.
I can picture him with it.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
probably
let's
did.
just say why the hell
he
not?
did.
So that rationale of Jey thinking, oh, let's keep this thing going and let's just forget about my manipulative, controlling cousin, that makes sense. But then it just makes you think he will have to, just because Jimmy will. Jimmy's the real tribal chief, I think.
I mean,
Jimmy's the real tribal chief.
to jump on what you're saying, though, Jey Uso said the other week on SmackDown that he was like, I'm really not sure where I stand with the bloodline, but my loyalty lies with Jimmy.
Yeah, he's an Uso.
Because they shared a womb, didn't they?
Yeah, they're bros.
That was his rationale
literally,
as well, yeah. But I think that's what... Sorry, I've just touched your leg there,
That's
Fraser.
all right, Ross.
I do apologise.
Oh.
But I think that's where it goes, because that... Sami getting towards Jey with the tag team titles just being sort of in there is where Jey and Sami will differentiate, if that makes any sense. I think.
Yeah.
That's where their common bond ends.
I've got another question as well. Whoa. Does Kevin Owens have a damn leg to stand on, is my question. Because if you go back, maybe not even as far as the Indies, because as many people say, El Generico was a different person. NXT then, NXT. He ruined Sami Zayn's moment when he won the title. His first night, and he slammed him on the apron, and
And then Sami became his guardian angel when they were taking on Shane McMahon, the best in the world. So you could argue, if you twist it the right way, that Kevin was using Sami there as the guardian angel. I can't quite remember what the actual story was from way back
Common
then.
enemy, Shane.
Is that what it was?
Keeping them off
And
SmackDown.
he pulled him off the announce table.
Yeah.
So you could twist it that way as well. So you could just say, yeah, Kevin hasn't got a leg to stand on because of recent-ish history.
Or have they both sinned now? Are they both just in the same... I don't know.
They're both real people with flaws,
Yeah.
and that's what it is.
Exactly.
They're not just a wrestling character. They've got actual flaws like people.
Yeah.
We all have flaws as
Yeah.
people, don't we?
Yeah.
We
I've
do.
never powerbombed someone on an apron.
Yet.
But we're all flawed in different ways. Yeah. Who knows?
On Northumberland Street, you see the frat boys in their groups. They gaggles of frat boys. You pick a frat boy up, you powerbomb on Northumberland Street.
On the
Sounds
edge
like
of
a
the
fun
monument.
Saturday.
On the edge of the bench in the middle of Northumberland Street. But obviously, Roman Reigns is going to get factored into this as well. What could he do on Friday when it comes to Jey Uso and what Jey Uso did at the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event?
I think we'll maybe get a trial of Jey Uso at some point. Like we had it with Sami, and I think we'll get something like that in Jey, where it's his loyalties are tested, and it's sort of like the rest of the bloodline, or Jimmy specifically, rallies behind Jey, sort of showing that there's a little bit of doubt in him. He's like, who do I align with? Do I go with Reigns or do I go with Jey? And the obvious course of action would be Jey, but he's still, Roman's controlling, so Jimmy's not going to just immediately jump out of line. But something like that, I think we're going to see Reigns really focus on Jey for a few weeks.
I think he's going to get spaffed away. Jey.
That brings up a good point, though, because I've been thinking this. Cody Rhodes mentioned it on this week's Raw that him and Roman haven't yet come face to face. It's all been interactions with that dirty Paul Heyman.
That dirty Paul Heyman,
scoundrel.
who, just in case you missed last night's Raw, threatened to have intercourse with Brandy Rhodes.
as if there is a strong chance.
Yeah.
Cody got irate. So basically,
He got so cross.
To set the scene for everybody, but we got to a point in Paul Heyman's promo where he said Roman Reigns is a happily married man because he was saying to Cody basically,
You'll be on the road.
You don't want the champion's lifestyle, being on the road for 300 days, 60 days of appearances, all this sort of stuff. And that could lead to Paul saying, hypothetically, oh, Roman Reigns will take care of your sweet wife at home. But then he says no, because Roman Reigns won't do that because he's a happily man. But I, Paul Heyman, I am not.
Yep.
Hinting that he could go after Brandy. And then Cody got irate.
He did.
Fuming.
And there were shades of the promo that Triple H gave to the first season of Tough Enough when he went, you're on the road. Who's at home? What's your wife doing? Don't know. It's so good.
Just missing Paul saying to Cody, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Is that what the
Good
WrestleMania main event is going to be built on? Just this? There's no other story. Like we've come off the back of one of the best storylines in recent memory, just to have Paul Heyman going, I'll Try with Brandy.
Oh, I think
Cody
think so,
being
really.
like, I'm going to take you down.
After he said that, Cody did get irate, but I think it was more the gall of Heyman.
Yeah.
And he said to Roman, don't send him again. Or he said to the camera, don't send him again. What I was originally going to say, was when you mentioned that Roman's going to focus on Jey, I think that would be a good decision. But how are they going to juggle that? Because now he's also got a feud with Cody in this build.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that so far in a really indirect way, especially because the Sami match was looming. But now the Sami match is over. How are they going to have all the goings on with the Bloodline and Owens and Zayn, but also Roman and Cody? Is Roman going to get too involved with the Usos?
That's just commonplace for Roman Reigns these days, isn't it?
Juggling.
Everyone but him appears on the weekly shows, and he just does the big match at the end.
Yeah, that's true. It does make him feel more special in a way.
It does.
Yeah.
I think Paul's got a big role to play as well because of last week's or 2 weeks ago SmackDown because of the Jey Uso shenanigans where Paul was hiding and he saw Jey, said he didn't know what he was going to do with the Bloodline, and Jimmy was like, "Oh no, my brother said nothing."
Yeah.
So Paul's going to come after Jimmy. Roman's going to go after Jey. Is that the catalyst for the Usos to
Like
go their own separate
Scooby-Doo.
way?
Out the doors.
Tell us about that, Fraser, you Scooby-Doo expert.
They've got the loads of little doors they run through, and there's like they come back through one other door, and then it's whoa.
Yeah. Usually while a beloved pop hit of the 60s is playing in the background.
Yeah, something. And then they get chased by someone, aka Paul Heyman.
Aye.
Yeah.
But that's another thing to bring into this discussion, isn't it? What will Paul do towards Jimmy? Because we still haven't had that little conclusion, have we?
He'll slowly try and turn Roman against them because Paul's the special counsel, so he's safe in his eyes. But if he sees the bloodline faltering and sort of breaking down, where does that leave him if he's not got the tribal chief?
One tiny aspect of the Elimination Chamber and the aftermath that I think most annoyed me was I think they wasted Paul Heyman getting his comeuppance just an extra. It was like an extra little cherry on top of the storyline cake. Was Heyman getting in and Owens stunnering him? I think that was just to make quite certain that the crowd had another reason to maybe go home happy, even though Zayn. Heyman was in the Tyson Fury role.
Yes, he was.
But I think Sami should have been the one to do that.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
It's like Owens, he's had that whole thing with going back to Survivor Series, but Heyman was the one that was trying to get Sami out of the bloodline.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back to Royal Rumble of 21, was it? Heyman was the one who screwed Owens out the title, so maybe that should be the chance that one
the
came from.
handcuffs, and he couldn't find the.
That didn't quite go right at the time.
Yeah.
But that could be rationale for why Owens was the one to go after Heyman and not Zayn.
Yeah, well, he was also hitting him.
Yeah.
He was doing
physically hitting him.
Devastatingly so. But where do we go? Where the main question of the whole podcast here today is where do we go? We need to stick our necks in the line. Let's do predictions now for where this storyline is going to go between now and WrestleMania. Fraser, we'll kick things off with yours.
Between now and WrestleMania, I think we'll see Jey Uso even more torn off it. I think we'll see Sami trying recruiting him to help take them down. I don't think it'll go to plan. I think we'll have sort of Jey fall back in line with the bloodline, but very reluctantly until WrestleMania, in which case he finally snaps, maybe walks out on Jimmy, and that sets up something post WrestleMania for them. But it's very tough to call though. But I think definitely the main storyline here is, like your video there a few weeks ago, is Jey Uso. Sami Zayn has been fantastic, but it is all coming back to Jey just now.
Jack?
I'm going to take a slightly more pessimistic view. And I'm going to say that they're not quite certain. This is totally speculation, but I think they might not be quite certain how to further this Jey storyline. And I think it will continue to be about Sami and Owens, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I just think that maybe the Jey thing should also be explored. But I'm not fully confident yet that that's what they'll do, because I think they've just got so much going on now at one time, which is a problem they've created for themselves by writing a good story. So, it's a shame.
Could you imagine, if Jey came back at WrestleMania after being away from Elimination Chamber until WrestleMania and cost Roman?
Cool.
I'd be all right with that if he just evened the odds for Cody. It didn't dilute Cody's victory. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
That makes sense, because then it gives Roman a natural feud after WrestleMania when he's not got the titles anymore.
But then, what about the tag title storyline?
Oh yeah, what about the tag title storyline? I've just completely disregarded
Although
that.
he could appear earlier in the night, like he did on SmackDown, through the crowd at the last minute to defend the belts, disappear off, and then come back for the main event.
Yeah, he could. I think I've just spoke a load of bollocks there.
No,
I do apologise, everybody.
happen.
I think Jay's going to get kicked out the bloodline good and proper on Friday.
This week?
I think this week.
Oh.
Well, Roman was pushed him in the face.
That's
wasn't he?
true,
And
yeah.
Jey was murdered by a spear and something else. And I think then Jimmy is going to get kicked out because of Paul swindling Roman's brain.
Okay.
Because you go back to the end of the Rumble, it was it was very sort of subtly done, but Roman said in Solo Sikoa, didn't he? We are at war now, Solo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Didn't
no,
say
he
it to
did.
Jimmy, did he? So
Yeah, it's true.
I reckon it could just be Roman and Solo with Paul in the background and the Usos sort of just like away on their own. And then Sami, but not because that then takes away Sami and Kevin's sort of mantra of taking down the bloodline. I've just spoke more bollocks to everybody.
But if
No,
they
not
recruit Jey
necessarily.
and Jimmy as sort of they manage to make them see what Roman Reigns is, that's still them getting that victory over the bloodline and taking them down. It doesn't need to be a dismantling of them one by one. If they can just slowly get their mindset changed, it works.
I've got another. If we've got time, I've got another.
We've
another
got all the
question
time
as
in the
well.
world.
It's gone. It's back. It's back. I've
Yes,
remembered
you've
it.
got it.
Assuming that Cody wins at WrestleMania, what then? Whenever I'm guessing Roman would then maybe take some time off to sell the loss and everything. But whenever he comes back, what would his next storyline be? Would it be dealing with the fallout of the bloodline? Would he feud with some of them maybe?
I'd be Jey, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just because of that's
Rounds out the story quite nicely 2 years later. 3 years later?
It'd be so weird seeing
Three.
him
Three.
if he then lost against Jey. It'd be so weird seeing him lose again.
That'd be main event Jey Uso good and proper. We had a tease during lockdown, didn't we?
Yes.
I mean, Reigns has needed to cheat a lot and had the bloodline there to help him win a lot of the big matches. So it wouldn't be
Yeah,
out
he's
of the...
rubbish.
It
Aye.
wouldn't be out
crap,
of
He
innit?
the...
can't even beat
No,
Sami Zayn on
big
his own.
soft.
No, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of the question if in theory, if
God,
everyone
he's-
around him is fallen and no longer there, he could
He's
lose.
rubbish.
He's crap.
He's really bad.
Yeah,
he's not beating someone clean for so long.
No.
Really
Definitely
awful wrestler.
Is there a chance that the bloodline could stay together as they are? Well, not as they are. Well, we're sort of Jey floating about and Jimmy sort of like being the bridge between Roman and Jey. Is there a chance that could stay in play until WrestleMania itself, and then that's where the implosion or the explosion happens?
I think that is what will happen, just so that Cody overcomes all the odds. I think they really want to. The fact that Sami didn't win means that Cody is surely their guy. Like, it's Cody Rhodes. And then maybe they'll want him to overcome the most odds he can. In which case, I think that apart from maybe Jey, the bloodline will still be intact. But I prefer what you suggested, which is, I think you've suggested in this video, maybe.
I don't know. What are you going to say?
The Roman, did you say that Roman goes in, or was it you? The Roman goes in without all the blood. They've fallen away.
Yeah.
It's just him, Solo, and Heyman. It was you. Yeah. It was literally about a minute ago that you said.
Yeah, it was, right? It's been a long day, hasn't it?
Yeah. That the door of next door's office is really doing my head in as well. It's really throwing me.
Oh, yeah.
Since it got fixed, the door.
Do you want to hear this first world problem, everybody?
Right, there's a button inside the door that you hit to unlock the door to get out, right? And it used to be just bang, seamless.
Instant access to the outside.
It feels like every time the wait's a little bit longer now, and now it's getting up to like sort of maybe like 3 seconds.
And then sometimes you've got to hit the button a second time, everybody. It's a wonder we've managed to make it through the days, isn't
I
it?
can't
It's a
believe we
struggle.
got to this room to do this video.
Right, so we've covered the promo on Raw. We've covered Jey Uso's situation. Jimmy and Paul have been mentioned with their little to do on
Yep.
SmackDown. Roman's been mentioned, potentially getting rid of Jey. Is there any other angle we need? What about Solo? Does he matter?
I think they don't need to do too much with Solo right now. Just keep doing what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Because he's really hard to pin.
Yeah.
He's better than Roman
I
Reigns.
don't think he
Yeah.
has been pinned, has he, on the main roster?
No, probably not, actually. So I think
No, I
that
don't think so.
I reckon he'll win a mid-card.
I want him to be the one to beat Gunther.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would like to see him take the Intercontinental Championship.
Well, I guess because Gunter's slowly turning babyface. I
And
guess that works with the
want him
dynamic.
to challenge for the world title this time next year.
Solo?
No,
Gunter?
Gunter.
Oh,
So,
yes.
like, that's the progression I see.
But I want to see Gunter have... I wanted to see Gunter versus Lesnar, but now I just...
You're getting something better, Jack.
What's that?
Brock versus Omos.
Yeah. I
Potentially on last night's Raw,
Money. At the
Omos
time of
challenged Brock
recording.
Lesnar,
yeah.
Surely that's
That's a
not
red
going to
herring.
happen.
It's got to be a red herring.
I don't know.
Nah, WrestleMania main event, night one.
Shut up, Fraser. How do you reckon Kevin Owens is getting back with Sami Zayn then? I've made that sound like they're a couple.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Because they're the likelihood is they're tagging, right? They are going to tag at WrestleMania.
You know what I think
for
could
the
happen?
belts.
Sami Zayn's wife gets involved because her performances.
She's
over
been fantastic.
Good.
Elimination. Was she? I think she was a wrestler. I think that's why.
The Oscar nominations have already been decided,
She's won them all.
unfortunately. Well, she should have been nominated.
Should've
Best
got
lead actress, supporting
Yeah.
actress.
Yeah, cinematography.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah.
Sound.
Best reputable journalist.
Yeah.
I reckon she could get involved and speak to maybe Kevin's wife if she's game for a camera appearance and say, we need to bring the lads together.
Just as long as Dr. Shelby doesn't get involved.
Oh, man. No. He's in retirement to Chase you at the moment, isn't he?
I love Chase you.
He got... Don't say that with sarcasm.
I genuinely, the best part of NXT.
That's such a good counterpoint to the Bloodline story. It's the same. It was you first pointed out, I think, that it's the same story going on in NXT.
Yeah, it is exactly the same story.
Except Sami Zayn's intentions were pure.
Yeah, Duke Hudson's not.
I think they are.
Those are wrong.
No.
Duke Hudson's
He's
wrong.
coming in there to ruin things.
How's Kevin getting back with Sam?
I agree with your family point. They made a very big emphasis on family being the two things that they're really passionate about, Sami and Kevin. It's just... Will their family actually get involved is the question.
That's the thing. I hope they do, because Kevin Owens' son, you know the one that's called Owen, he's like 12 foot tall now.
He's tall, right?
I saw a picture on the old Reddit the
lad.
other week. He's a big boy.
Yeah, bigger than his dad.
Yeah.
It's just scary.
You hope he so that he gets introduced to the world of wrestling.
I think the last time we saw him when he was referenced on any sort of like program, and he was like a little boy, and now he's like a massive boy. Boy becomes man.
Wow. I don't think it'll be the family route. I think that it'll be forged in the heat of battle. Like there'll be a big brawl or something.
We'll have another match.
Not against each other. I think there'll be a post-match beatdown or something. They'll both be fighting off people back to back in the ring, and then they'll maybe instinctively do. Did they ever have a tag team move? No. Maybe they'll chain moves together.
It'll be haluva kick, stumble, stunner.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Like that. And then they'll both be like, we're really good, aren't we?
Just do an AEW where they've got to win 5 matches.
No, I'm sick of that.
Nah, we don't need to do that, Fraser.
No.
Nah, we're not crossing the divide here. But we're all on the same hymn sheet saying that the final conclusion of Sami Zayn's current storyline is winning the tag team titles with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania.
So.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then when the reign finally ends, I can't see them not falling out and having another big match.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why not, eh?
The matches are always good.
They are
good.
Yeah, I don't know what we're saying there. They are, aren't they?
They're
They're always
great.
really good. I think we've now covered all of the bases. Let us know what you think down below for this entire storyline. Answer every single question we've asked in sequential order, then you'll make a comment as long as a novel.
How can we fix the door next door?
That's the main question.
Yeah.
Change the title, please, Joel. That's it for this podcast thing. I can talk words in an English way. Thank you very much for watching. It's been Jack, it's been Fraser, it's been Ross. Goodbye.